Joining me today is Sean Randolph. He's going to speak about various topics and subjects related to technology. Welcome to WION.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. My first question to you is, how is the U.S. tech war on China changing the world?
I think what we're seeing is a radical change from what we experienced really the last 20 years in U.S.-China relations, where I think China is not only a competitor, but seen more and more as a strategic challenge for the United States. So there are now security aspects to the relationship that were not seen to be as important in the past. So, as you're probably aware, there's a range of laws and regulations in the U.S. that are discouraging or preventing sales of advanced semiconductors, semiconductor equipment. We still have in place many of the tariffs that were imposed by President Trump. They're still there under President Biden. So I think what we're seeing is a shrinking of investment from the U.S. into China, shrinking investment from China into the U.S., and a lot of that is focused on technology. It's not general consumer goods, but it's really the AI, the robotics, the advanced technology that's the focus of attention right now.
My next question is, what do you think it means for India?
I think it means a moment of opportunity for India. I think the U.S. is looking around the world for who are its trusted partners, its reliable friends, especially countries that share democratic values and essentially free market economic systems. And on that map, India looms very, very large, as the world's largest democracy, as a very dynamic market economy, home to many entrepreneurs, and really the home to really advanced digital policies. So I think that alignment really opens the door not only to a closer security relationship than in the past, but also a closer economic relationship as well, especially when we look at how global supply chains are going to be realigning in the future.
Also moving to another topic, it was once a dream to join Silicon Valley, to be part of that culture. But with the recent layoffs going on, do you think the big tech bubble is bursting?
I don't think it's bursting. I think there's a reset going on. We had an enormous explosion of investment in Silicon Valley in 2021. Really during the pandemic, as everything went digital, you found massive hiring by many, many tech companies, an extraordinary amount of venture capital being spent. And what we're seeing this year from the first quarter right to the present is reduction of that employment. So a lot of people are being let go. Even if the companies are hiring, others are being let go. A fall off in venture investment and a tougher time for startups. But the reality behind that is that venture firms are raising more capital than ever. They're just not spending it. Startups are still finding money. And I think the tech companies are still innovating as much as they ever have. But it's a big resetting after a period of rapid and perhaps overly rapid expansion.
Talking about advancements in the tech space, how can we not talk about startups? How do you think the startup culture or the startup landscape is shaping up around the world?
I think it's a terrific landscape. I work with startups and accelerators and governments pretty much everywhere in Europe, in Canada, in Mexico, in China, Singapore, as well as India. And I think what we've seen around the world is in many, many of these countries, a tremendous growth in the last, I'd say, 5 years in the startup culture, more value being put socially on entrepreneurship, more venture capital being available, more unicorns across the board, but especially countries like India. So I think the entrepreneurial culture is really catching on, and governments are widely recognizing that this is really a key to economic growth. So this year is a little bit of a reset as well. There's not as much money going in, but I think on the other hand, we're seeing still large numbers of entrepreneurs with great ideas. Investment is out there. So I think entrepreneurship really has become a deeper and more powerful global phenomenon. I think India is, of course, one of the leaders in that.
I totally agree. Startups have come a long way and things will only get better for them. Thanks, Sean, for joining us on WION.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much.